The UN also earlier this week released a report on ISIL militants in Libya, and it says the group has greatly expanded its territory in the country. The militants claim they're the key defense against foreign military intervention in Libya. UN monitors say Libya has also become an attractive destination for foreign fighters aiming to join ISIL. Those fighters mainly arrive through Sudan, Tunisia and Turkey. The US has recently begun carrying out airstrikes against ISIL in Libya. Tunisia has also been stepping up its fight against the militants along the border. And ISIL has significantly grown its presence in that country. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, yes, this comes after the UN Sanctions Monitor for Libya released their annual report to the Security Council this week. As you say, really it did show just how much ISIS have expanded their control there. It also said that the militants there are using what it called a nationalistic narrative to sort of portray themselves as a bulwark against any foreign intervention in Libya and appealing to people's nationalist side. Although it said that, yes, Libya has become a very attractive destination for foreign fighters, ISIS is also trying to recruit local people and residents, in particular in Tripoli and Sabratha, to their forces as well, particularly residents from marginalised communities. But that said, they do now estimate there could be as many as 6,000 foreign fighters in Libya. That's up from around 2,000 or 3,000 that were estimated to be there at the end of last year. And they say that the IS stronghold of Sirte in particular has been an attractive destination for those foreign fighters. And of course, really this is a result of the political vacuum that has been in place in Libya ever since Gaddafi was toppled. So a lot of concern that from the UN that even as the focus really from the West is on containing and controlling ISIS in Iraq and Syria, actually it's being allowed to grow relatively unchallenged meanwhile in Libya.
Yeah, so Lorna, will this latest report on ISIL in Libya likely spur the Security Council to make a more definite decision on Libya?
Well, certainly, as we've just been saying, the news is very grave there. There is a lot to be addressed. And we know really that for the UN, if not a panacea, certainly one thing that could greatly help the situation is to get success with that united government that they have been trying to establish for a long time now, to bring stability back to the country, but also to have a united front against these IS militants. Now, we know that the Security Council later this month is expected to renew the mandate of the UN support mission in Libya, UNSMIL. And in fact, Martin Kobler, the UN envoy to Libya, has requested a mission to evaluate whether or not UNSMIL can actually return to Libya itself, because at the moment it's operating from Tunis and has been since 2014. But that mission said, well, yes, UNSMIL can return, but only when there's a stable government. So really for the UN, it's very important that that stable government is established. Then it can send its own troops and its own mission back to the country. But aside from that, there's also the issue of sanctions. And this was a report by the Sanctions Committee. They said that sanctions are repeatedly being broken. Asset freezes and travel bans, particularly on members of the Gaddafi regime or former members of that regime, are repeatedly being broken, and foreign fighters are also being allowed to sell oil products and use foreign currency exchanges to fund themselves. So I think it's likely that following the report from the Sanctions Committee later in April, perhaps the UN may look to beef up or reinforce those sanctions in some way in order to bring the situation a little more under control in Libya.
Yeah, hopefully, Lorna. It's quite a grim report there on the security situation in Libya. Lorna Shadik for us in New York. Thank you.